Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're digging into a huge topic for anyone who speaks their mind in India, defamation. If you say something false about someone, can they sue you for a ton of money, or could you actually end up in jail? Let's break down the critical difference between a civil and a criminal case. Okay, let's just dive right in with a scenario that honestly could happen to any of us. You're online, you post something, maybe share a comment or a video, and then it just blows up. But what if it turns out to be false and it really hurts someone's reputation? Well, the consequences can be wildly different, all depending on which legal path is taken. So before we get into the weeds, let's make sure we're all on the same page. What even is defamation? At its heart, it's pretty simple. It's spreading a lie that damages how people see someone. And it doesn't matter if you write it, say it out loud, or even share a doctored photo. It's all about the harm it causes. Now, here's where it gets really interesting in the Indian context. If you're accused of defamation, you're not just facing one kind of legal trouble. You're basically standing at a fork in the road with two very, very different paths you could be forced down. See, on one side, you've got civil defamation. The law treats this as a private wrong. It's basically one person saying to another, hey, you harmed me personally. But on the other side, you have criminal defamation, and the law sees that as a public offense, an act that actually harms society as a whole. And believe me, that one distinction changes absolutely everything. So what does that actually mean in practice? How different are these two paths? Well, it really all boils down to a single question. Is the point to fix the damage with money, or is it to punish the person who did the damage? In a civil case, the entire goal is to compensate the victim. A court tries to figure out, okay, how much was your reputation damaged, and then puts a dollar amount on it to try and make things right. But in a criminal case, the goal flips completely. It's not about compensation. It's about punishing the offender for breaking the law and sending a message to everyone else. Don't do this. And because the purpose is different, the whole process is different. In a civil suit, the person who is harmed, the plaintiff, has to start the case. But in a criminal case, it's the state itself that steps in and prosecutes. This also means the level of proof required is way higher. For a civil case, you just have to show it's more likely than not that the defamation happened. But to convict someone of a crime, the state has to prove it beyond a reasonable doubt. And that makes sense, right? Because someone's freedom is on the line. So let's just put it all together here. On one hand, you have a private fight in a civil court focused on restoring a reputation. On the other, a public crime in a criminal court focused on deterring future harm. They're two completely separate legal universes. So you might be wondering, where do these two different ideas even come from? Let's take a quick look at the actual laws behind them because they're not built on the same foundation at all. It's really interesting. Civil defamation comes from something called tort law. It's not one single rule book. It's a collection of legal principles about civil wrongs that have been built up by courts over hundreds of years. But criminal defamation, that's written down black and white in a specific law, Section 356 of the Bharatiya Nyaya Sanhita. And that's the whole point. By putting defamation right into the criminal code, the legal system sends a powerful message. It's saying that some lies don't just hurt one person. They can actually threaten public order and trust. That's why India, unlike a lot of other democracies, keeps it as a crime. The idea is that some speech can be so destructive it becomes a danger to the public peace. And the penalties are no joke. If you're convicted under this law, you could face up to 2 years in prison, a fine, or even both. So we're not just talking about having to pay someone back. We're talking about the potential loss of your freedom, which really shows you how seriously a criminal charge is taken. Okay, I know all this legal talk can get a little abstract, so let's make it concrete. Let's walk through two real-world scenarios that make the difference between civil and criminal defamation crystal clear. First up, let's look at a pretty classic civil case, a situation involving a false news article. So imagine a magazine runs a story, and it falsely claims a local shop owner is selling stolen goods. It's a total lie, but people believe it. The owner's reputation is trashed, and their sales just tank. Now, what does the owner want? They don't want the editor thrown in jail. They want to be paid back for the money they lost and to get their good name back. So they file a private lawsuit for damages. That's a civil case. Now, let's switch gears and look at a criminal case. The vibe here is totally different. The goal isn't just spreading a lie. It's about maliciously trying to destroy someone's life and maybe even stir up hatred. Picture this. A politician gets up on stage during a rally and accuses their rival of treason, a completely baseless, horrible accusation.
The intent here isn't just to make them look bad. It's to incite public hatred, maybe even violence, and to ruin their career. This is seen as a threat to public stability, and that's why the state steps in to prosecute. The goal isn't just to help the rival, it's to punish the act itself as a crime against the public.
So we've looked at the definitions, the laws, and some real-world examples. What's the big takeaway here? Why does this whole civil versus criminal thing matter so much to you and me?
Honestly, understanding this difference is absolutely crucial. It doesn't matter if you're a journalist, an influencer, or just someone who posts on social media. Your words have power. And knowing that one kind of lie could lead to you paying damages, while another kind could actually lead to a criminal record and jail time, well, that draws a really important line in the sand between speaking freely and breaking the law.
And all of this leaves us with a really big question for our times. In this digital age, where one person's post can reach millions in a matter of seconds, how do we strike the right balance? How do we protect people's reputations from lies without stamping out free speech? It's a tough one. And in India, the answer right now involves this unique two-track system of civil and criminal law, a balance that affects all of us.